I went day by day with Jesse, and he's got a lot of discrepancies. In fact, I wrote down everything as he was talking to me, and he changed the story 200 times.
Jesse not only took a voluntary lie detector and passed, he went to law enforcement and gave 2 official statements before Cindy's even given one. In that interview, if you look, they can't even get her to give them her credit card record.
I haven't asked you for your credit card records. I asked you for that same morning. Where are they?
There's nothing on there. I already looked at them.
Okay. See, that's the answer I can't have.
Breaking news tonight. The state apparently taking this case to the grand jury next week, according to local affiliate WKMG. I'm not talking about bad checks or fraud. Even though here you see on grainy surveillance video, tot mom Casey Anthony loading up on the Bud Light in her search for little Caylee. We're talking about homicide charges. We're taking your calls live out to Luann in South Carolina. Hi, Luann.
Hi, Nancy. We really appreciate everything that you do.
Thank you.
If I have the facts straight, Casey had a huge argument with her mother before she left their house with Caylee, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I really think that whatever she did to Caylee, she did out of spite towards her mother. But how much time elapsed from the time she left her parents' house and when she was having these shopping sprees, and also when the car was found?
Out to Natisha Lance, our producer, who has been in Orlando from the beginning. What's the timeline on that, Natisha?
Well, she had the argument on June 15th. Now, she started the shopping spree on July 8th, and the car was found at the Amscot. We were reported there about the June 30th.
There you go. Those are the dates, the relevant dates that Luann in South Carolina wanted to know about. Repeat, Natisha, when was the car found at Amscot?
June 30th.
June 30. She leaves June 15. Car abandoned June 30. She's still gone from the home. The family finds out about the car because they get a tow notice. Correct, Natisha?
That's correct, Nancy.
And then the mom goes over to the boyfriend's house to bring tot mom back home on what day?
She goes over there on July 15th.
And the shopping spree that you are seeing for groceries for her boyfriend, a case of Bud Light, bras, lingerie, nighties, clothing, sunglasses, sportswear, food. That's just a tiny bit of what all she bought during her search for Caylee. And, you know, to Leonard Padilla, bounty hunter, joining me out of Sacramento, California, he first put up the $500,000 bond to get her out of jail before he came off that bond. I don't care about the, let's see, the $14.99 90s she bought or the case of beer. You know what? I'd be mad if you didn't, Casey Anthony. But what I'm concerned about, Leonard, is what this will say to a jury when they see with their own eyes her state of mind while her child was missing.
The loudest statement that those purchases will make is there's nothing in there. There isn't an item in there for Caylee. But let me correct something that Natisha said. The car was actually spotted, parked at the Amscot by Mrs. Sanchez, the manager of the store there, on the morning of the 27th. Mm-hmm. We believe, and we're pretty sure we know, that she came back out of Tony's house at around 10 o'clock that morning, drove the car off to her mom's, called J.C. Penney, then went on further towards the airport, where my associate Rob Dick has narrowed down an area by the airport where he believes the body will be found. And Tim from EquiSearch is headed out there in the morning, and I'm telling you, I'm putting my money on Tim finding that body before Tuesday.
You know, another thing, and Natisha, there is a difference from the time the car was first spotted and when it was reported. Right. I think you were accurate in your data on that, but Padilla is correct about the spotting, the day the car was spotted, run out of gas, there at the check cash place. Back to the lawyers, Renee Rockwell, John Burris. You know, this list of people that may be going before the grand jury, John Burris, very often when I would present to a grand jury, I would bring on maybe the victim if it were a violent crime, But typically, you bring on the detective. You don't need a parade of witnesses. A detective, hearsay, the course of conduct, everything's allowed in a grand jury proceeding, unlike at trial. So very often, you don't need a parade of witnesses. You can bring on one or two of the detectives on the case to present the case to the grand jury. John?
Well, that's actually true, but I think that in this case here, they want to present as much evidence as they can, because actually a lot of this evidence is circumstantial, and they really want to get some feedback, if they can, from the grand jury members to see how this evidence really is playing out. Typically, you would not go before the grand jury unless you thought you were going to get some kind of an indictment of some kind. But I think they also want to hear the feedback from the jury. They want to hear the first-hand testimony, because otherwise it may not be evidence that can withstand cross-examination.
You know, Renee, I feel the exact opposite as a former prosecutor, because I want to keep that case to the grand jury lean and mean. A detective can talk about hearsay, what every witness told him or her. Why bring in the witness for cross-examination? Because that grand jury transcript may have to be handed over to the defense come trial time. Why give them a how-to manual?
And if it is, that testimony is transcribed and recorded and can be changed, and then you'll have a witness that can be impeached. But Nancy, don't you think it's interesting that this is the last case of this grand jury term, and a lot of times a prosecutor will strategically put a case in front of a well-seasoned and experienced grand jury, because sometimes you'll get a different read from that grand jury than you will from a brand new grand jury. I just think it's interesting.
I think that's a good point. Back to Jessica D'Onofrio with WKMG, who broke the story. Jessica, you said that a lot of people may expect subpoenas to grand jury next week on homicide charges for Mom Casey Anthony. Have subpoenas been received yet?
No, Nancy, they haven't. I haven't heard that they have gone out today. You know, the question was, would they cut them today, tomorrow, maybe closer to Friday? I know that the initial plan was to send them out on Monday so that people would know to be there on Tuesday. However, they have a lot of people that they are likely serving for this grand jury, so it may take them a couple days to serve those subpoenas.
She seemed like everything was normal. She always seemed like she had a smile on her face. You know, if there was laundry to be done, she would take care of that. You know, she would cook dinner sometimes in the evenings for us when we got home. I think one night she made pasta for everyone.
Did she ever mention over the pasta dinner that her 2-year-old girl was gone?
She did not mention to us that Caylee was missing.
Bombshell tonight. According to WKMG's Jessica D'Onofrio, homicide charges expected to come down next week before a Florida grand jury. Back to Jessica D'Onofrio. Any idea who will be called before the grand jury?
I know that George Anthony has been asked to clear his schedule for Tuesday. I know Cindy has too. Those are two definites. I also understand that you will hear from lab technicians, from detectives, that they will be subpoenaed as well. And of course, you're going to probably hear from her friends, Tony Lazzaro, him being an ex-boyfriend, and most likely Amy Huizenga.